Hi folks, hope you're okay today. It's good to see you. I'm just making a video, just coming back to a video that I made on Zwemer that got really attacked, and it was about evolution is a moral monster, and it got completely slated. But I'm coming back to it, and I've been thinking about it, and I think I was actually right. You know, just let's take rape for example. The atheist will say that evolution is just a process like gravity. You know, it's just something that it's just a law like gravity type of thing. But the problem is that evolution has been moving towards higher forms of life, to higher forms of intelligence. Now, the atheists are not, and the evolutionists are not honest here. They'll say, well, no scientist actually says that. But that's what it is. You know, scientist or not, that's what it is. You know, it's been moving towards higher forms of life, higher intelligence. Now, either evolution knew what it was doing, or it didn't. Let's say evolution didn't know what it was doing, it was just chance or whatever. Well, you're in a moral quagmire there. If evolution didn't have any intelligence, and it was just a process where it just moved forward by natural selection and mutation, whatever, you know, you got massive moral problem there, because rape is not a moral thing. Rape is just part of the process. So when people were being raped 5,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, your intellectual paradigm, we can't look at that in the past and say that was wrong. We can't even say today that it is wrong from an atheist or evolutionary perspective. It is just something that is part of the process. It's an amoral process. So rape, you know, there's nothing moral about it. If you put some moral perspective on it, it's not an objective morality, it's just your own subjective opinion. If you say culture says it's wrong, yeah, but it's only that particular culture. It's not wrong objectively speaking at all times, in all history. And your own system deconstructs itself because it's an amoral system, evolution. So therefore, when rape was going on 20,000 years ago, however long you want to go back, 80,000 years ago, it wasn't morally wrong, because evolution's an amoral system. So you got an amoral system that produced rape, and that you can't say is wrong because you've got an amoral system. So evolution is a moral monster, because it's allowed a process of rape for thousands and thousands of years, and you can't even call it rape. You can't even, as an evolutionist or an atheist, say that it is wrong. And if you do say it's wrong, it's just your own subjective opinion. It's not being consistent with your own evolutionary model. And you can't get away from the fact that even if you just say it's a process, a historical process, or a biological process, even if you said that, you can't really get away from the accusation that evolution has an intelligence. That's not an easy accusation to dismiss, actually. And you have tried to dismiss it, but it's not an easy accusation to dismiss. Alright? Because the complexity of a gene shows high degree of intelligence involved in creating a gene. The complexity of a human being, the complexity of the environment that we live in, and the way the ecosystem works together, how that has worked over the centuries of so many years, billions of years as you would call it. There's a high degree of intellectual skill gone on in that. Even if you say that it's by natural selection and mutation working together in harmony, there was some kind of intellectual intelligence that was able to do that, to be able to work in harmony. There's some kind of order even in the apparent randomness. There is an order within that randomness, and that order always implies some kind of intelligence. It has to be. You either got chaos and chance, which is not. You're not saying that. You're saying that evolution is not complete chance. That there was some kind of order within the randomness. Well, where did that order come from? And you can only say that evolution has some kind of intelligent. There's an intelligent mind, evolutionary mind, that has been working throughout history to get us to this point where we are. There's been a purpose, and where there's a purpose, there's intelligence. So you can't get evolutionary off the hook from that. Evolution off the hook easily from that. You can laugh, you can mock, but you can't. You can't. And you can say, I don't understand evolution, but you can't get off the hook. That there has been a purpose in evolution. There has been a movement towards a goal. And if you can't see that, that's crazy. I don't agree with evolution. I'm just saying from your perspective, that's where it goes. There's been a purpose. We've got to this higher form of a human being. And everything seems to supply and feed and help human beings. Everything. From the sea to the sun to the animals. Everything. Now, if that's the case, then evolution is a double moral monster, because if there was a mind and a purpose, then it knew when it was going forward, all the millions of rapes that have happened, it knew that was happening. So that is one heck of a moral monster that created all those rapes that were going on. Billions of years of billions of billions of rapes. Okay? So if you go for no, evolution is not an intelligence, it does not have a mind, and you say no, it's just a process, then evolution is still a moral monster, producing rapes upon rapes upon rapes, and you can't even condemn it as wrong, nor can you ever condemn it today as wrong, objectively speaking, because it's just part of an amoral process. If you put morality on it, it's your own personal spin, your own personal opinion. It doesn't make it objectively wrong to say rape's wrong. If you say a group, our nation says rape's wrong, yeah, it's just your nation, but in reality another nation could say it's wrong, it's right, or a particular period of history could say it's right, and they could be right, because it's just the cultural perspective of that day. So evolution doesn't allow you to have objective morality. Therefore, evolution is a moral monster, allowing rapes, millions of rapes, and you can't even say that it's wrong. So I stand by my video, and I do think that evolution just doesn't make sense. Evolution is just a joke. It's not science. It's pseudoscience. It's a dogma that you as atheists and evolutionists hold on to because you're afraid of God, you're afraid of who you are before God, you're afraid of being who you are before God, that God will search you and show you to be a sinner, and you don't want to be called a sinner, you don't want to be held to account, so you hold on to this evolution for the sake of it, because it protects you from the Judeo-Christian living God who is alive. When all the evidence of God is around you in creation, of an intelligent designer, it's there, right there before you. Everywhere you look, there's purpose in this world, and to deny that there is no purpose is just scandalous. It's ridiculous. And you can pit your so-called pseudoscience against people's experience, but people's experience can see all around them there is purpose to creation. There is so much beauty, so much complexity, so much brilliance within creation that it did not happen by chance, and everybody knows that. And you can bring in this, oh, it weren't by chance, it was by randomness. Well, you've still brought some kind of order into that randomness. Where did that order come from? At the end of the day, you're not logically consistent to your position, and your logical consistency to your position is that everything began by chance, and chance cannot produce what we see today. Unless you bring in order, but that's like bringing in a rabbit out of a hat. Where did the order come from? So it's worse than your accusation that Christianity is a spaghetti flying monster in the air. It's even worse because, you know, that's a misrepresentation of Christianity. Yours is your actual reality of your position, is literally pulling a rabbit out of the hat when you say that it's order plus randomness. Where did the order come from? At the end of the day, your position was pure chance. And pure chance cannot produce order. It cannot. There has to be an intelligence to guide and sustain that order, to bring in order, if you're going to get any kind of creation. You know, I can give you, I can ask you to build me a ship. You build me a ship on chance. You build me a ship that can carry 10,000 people by chance. You can't do it. By just throwing a coin up in the air and say, right, we'll get some wood, right, will you do it, and just throwing up coins and saying heads, tails, you do this, heads. You could never build a ship based on chance. You have to have some kind of structure, order, some kind of plan to build a ship. Now surely if that's for the ship, you need a plan and structure and order to build a universe, to build a world, to build a human being. You need a structure and a plan and order. So, you know, evolution is, you know, and then you get Harvard professors, a Harvard professor who's majorly used by evolutionists like Dawkins to do their research, and the Harvard professor is found out for being falsifying his information. This has been going on generation after generation of information being falsified by evolutionary scientists, and you never own up to it as atheists. You never own up to it. These evolutionist scientists like Dawkins have a political agenda. They're attacking and trying to stop Christianity and creationism and intelligence design on a political level. Where's the objectivity in that? They produce their own intellectual parameters when they're doing research. For example, if you read Dawkins' book, on a couple of his books, he creates his own intellectual parameters that no other scientist uses, but he can do it because he thinks he's the bee's knees, and that he's allowed to do these things because he's got a reputation. He can make the intellectual goalpost and move it wherever he wants, and comes up with silly arguments like we shouldn't trust experience but science based on psychological research. But everybody knows that psychological research on these kind of issues is nebulous at best. Even Sam Harris would say that. So I hold to my position that evolution is a moral monster. I hold to it, and I don't care if evolutionists bash me on it. It is a moral monster. It's a scourge on our times, and it's a scourge on true science. It's a scourge on real intellectual discussion and debate and research, and it's blinding us and it's stopping us to go back to look at the evidence in a more objective way. It is truly stopping science, as Johnson would say, Professor Johnson. It is truly stopping real research and science. That's what I think. Please let me know what you think. Thank you for listening, and God bless.